If every brain functionally works the same, and every brain functionally works the same, just so you know, then how do I get my brain to function better? So why would you want to react if you haven't been trained how to react properly in those situations? The stress circuit, which releases neurochemicals that cause us to feel overwhelmed, happens when the demand, too many things to do without order at the same time. Many years ago, somebody said to me, stop standing on the edge of your potential and start achieving it. And it made me think, what is like our potential as a human being? What is our potential? Do you think that your potential is, unlimited, right? Do you think that you're achieving your potential? By the way, tell me where you're chiming in from. I'm in San Diego right now. So how do you unlock your potential? Like where is it? And obviously, you guys all know that I invest a lot of time on behavioral neuroscience and the research, around potential, and what is our potential? Would it be fair to say that we have a brain, obviously, hopefully, and our brain is worth at least $100 billion, right? So we have all of this potential, and I always start with, our brain is $100 billion biocomputer, but we don't have the user's manual for it. So, when you think about the brain, of course, it has a lot of potential, but isn't it also true that maybe our potential, starts with the spiritual nature of what and who we are? Isn't there an intelligence within every human being that breathes you and me right now? We're not thinking about breathing. We're not thinking about digesting our food. We're not thinking about, how we got dressed this morning. We're not thinking about how to walk. We're not thinking about all the autonomic things that are happening in our world. We're not thinking, right, of seeing. Our brain, okay, is processing the information, the energy information that's coming in through our eyes. Our ears are automatically processing the sound waves of my voice right now that you're hearing, and maybe other things you're hearing. So when we think about unlocking our fullest potential, isn't it about starting with understanding self first? We have an insane ability to be resilient, to have tenacity, to have resolve. But then why do we quit? We have these circuits in our brain, whether it's the fear circuit that cause us to, stop dead in our tracks. We have the stress circuit that gets activated when the demand exceeds our capacity currently. We have the motivational circuit, the circuit that, is our motive for action. We have so many different circuits that turn on or off, and very few people understand that you have so much more control to turn on or off different circuits. Uncertainty circuit, doubt circuit, fear circuit. So I want you to think about, if I have so much potential, what is really holding me back from using it? Like, think about it. Like, what's holding you back from using it? Is it, for example, you don't feel worthy enough to achieve what you want to achieve? Do you not feel like you deserve to achieve the success? Do you have beliefs, patterns in your brain that have been reinforced that are causing the lens by which you see the world, right, to be limited, right? Beliefs create perspective, perception, but beliefs also drive behavior. So is it possible, like, let's have a real dialogue. Is it possible that the beliefs that you have that are limiting you are in your way? Right? Think about it. I have beliefs that may not be true, but what are beliefs? They're nothing more than reinforced patterns in our brain. So when we start talking about unlocking your fullest power and potential, not only do we have to know what are the obstacles in our way so we could remove them, not only do we need to know what is limiting me right now, what is limiting you right now, but then if we say, if every brain functionally works the same, and every brain functionally works the same, just so you know, then how do I get my brain to function better? Or how do I get to use my brain better? Now, Joe, thank you for sharing this. Right. So, overwhelm is what Joe said is one of her obstacles, right? How many of you are experiencing overwhelm? Because I'm going to give you a system and a process to overcome overwhelm. And this one's for you, Joe, since I know you've been following my work for a long time. So what is the feeling of overwhelm? Like, overwhelm is not a thing. Overwhelm is a feeling. Would you agree? Overwhelm is how I feel, but a feeling, again, I want to help you understand your brain better, right? As your brain whisper, I'm going to whisper into your ear some things, right? So when you think about overwhelm in the brain, many of you know you have the conscious part of the brain and the subconscious part of the brain. Subconscious is more powerful. The conscious mind chooses what we want to do. The conscious mind can imagine. The conscious mind can say, well, this is true because of this. It's called deductive reasoning. But when we understand memory, we have short-term memory and we have long-term memory. Agreed? So when you stick your finger in the socket, okay, in your home or office, and you get an electric shock, you don't forget that because pain is wired into the brain 10,000 times faster than pleasure. Part one. Part two. When we understand short-term memory, in short-term memory, we can only hold on to 3 to 7 things, okay, at a time. That's why our phone numbers are 7 digits long, not 12. Now, think about the feeling of overwhelm. Isn't it the same thing as when you put too much water in a glass and it overflows and you're like a little bit anxious? The issue with overwhelm is not the feeling. What happens in the brain is when we have too many things going on at once in our brain without a sequential order, then our brain is trying to hold on to those things. And because it can't, it activates the stress center in the brain. And stress is activated when the current demand exceeds our current capacity. Let me repeat that. The stress circuit, which releases neurochemicals that cause us to feel overwhelmed, happens when the demand, too many things to do without order at the same time. So, Joe, yes, you need to organize. I'm going to give you a method right now. I'll give you a little bit, a technique I teach all my clients. It's called the GOPA method. Can somebody type in GOPA? GOPA, all right? GOPA. And Allie Gordon, is not just for survival, it's for avoidance of pain or discomfort. So GOPA stands for generalize. Take all the ideas out of your head if you're overwhelmed. I want you to write them on a piece of paper or on your computer. GOPA, G-O-P-A. G stands for generalize. Everything out of your head so you're not using working memory or short-term memory. The O stands for organize. Now, I'm going to organize all the things that I want to do or need to do into categories: health, wealth, relationship, career, business, finances, fun, experiences, whatever it is, whatever the category is. Take all the things you want to do or need to do and put them into categories. So now we've taken the many things that we have in our brain in short-term memory, and we're putting them into an organization structure on a board, on your computer, on a piece of paper. Now we have G and we have the O. G for generalize, O for organize. Now the P. Now in each category, prioritize. In, let's say, category 1, whether it's finances, whether it's business, whether it's relationship, whether it's health, the 3, 4, 5, or 6 things that you have to do, ask yourself this question. What is the number one thing that I need to do on this list today? Put a 1 next to it. What's the number 2 thing today? What's the number 3 thing that I need to do today on that list? Now I'm going to have 1, 2, and 3 in each list. I'm probably going to have 20 different things. Still too many. Now I'm going to look at the entire list and I'm going to say, okay, which 3 things on the entire list have to be done today, or 5 things maximum? And if I now have generalized and organized, and now I'm going to prioritize into 5 things that need to be done today, I can get 3 to 5 things done today that are high impact activities. And then I could say which 5 things need to be done this week. Forget about next week, the week after, and the week after that for now. We want to get the brain to use its own genius to help us accomplish goals, not just have goals or things. So generalize, organize, prioritize. And now I'm going to take out my mobile phone or my computer. And now I'm going to say, okay, number 1, I'm doing from 9 o'clock to 10:30 today. 10:30 to 11, I'm taking a break. 11 to 12, I'm going to get another thing done. 1 o'clock to 2, I'm going to get another thing done. And this is the way our brain works. It needs to know, what do I need to do? When do I need to do it by? How am I going to do it? And now I need to see that it's on my calendar so that now I have organization to optimize. The number 3 priority of the brain is energy conservation. When we do that process now, we're unlocking more of our brain's fullest power and potential. Tell me if this makes sense. In the absence of a process, there's confusion. When we have confusion, okay, our brain is scattered and it requires more energy than what we need, okay, to use. So that's one method that I teach every one of my students, is to be strategically organized. You can do this on a piece of paper. So I don't know if you can hear the sirens behind me, but there's some sirens there. Does that make sense to you? All right. So here's what happens. I mentioned earlier, okay, we have circuits, right? Fear circuit, motivational circuit, happy circuit, sad circuit, uncertain circuit. Now, when we feel overwhelmed, that means that these circuits of stress have been activated. When those circuits have activated, do you know an innercise, a simple innercise? The A is actionalize, create the action plan to get the thing done. So generalize, organize, prioritize, actionalize. Now, if you're in a state of doubt, fear, anxiety, stress, overwhelm, uncertainty, is that the calm circuit or is that the stress circuit activated? Which one is it? The calm circuit or the stress circuit? Which one is it? Tell me which one it is. We have the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. They run from the base of your brain all the way down your spine and then all the way down to your toes. Which one is activated, okay, when we're in a state of stress, right? It's the sympathetic nervous system. So when that's activated, what does it tell you? It tells you heartbeat goes a little bit faster. Focus narrows on the potential problem, right? We might start to sweat, all right? We might, get hyper focused, as I mentioned, okay, on the thing that we might be concerned about. I feel overwhelmed. And so you feel overwhelmed, and then you perpetually think about being overwhelmed. You feel overwhelmed. You keep releasing that neurochemical of being overwhelmed or uncertain or doubtful or fearful. Are you aware that 6 simple breaths, 6 short, small, simple breaths, slowly in through your nose? Do it along with me. Just do it along with me, right? Simple breaths in through your nose. It's called Take 6, Calm the Circuits. In less than 60 seconds, you could deactivate the stress circuit, the overwhelm circuit, the fear circuit. And you have to do that first to bring your thinking brain back online. So here's what you do. You take 6 deep breaths slowly in through your nose and slowly, slowly, slowly out through your mouth like you're breathing out through a straw. Relax, relax, relax. Breathe in through your nose. Move your belly out so you get the first bit of air into your diaphragm. So it's your just below your belly, and then your lungs or back. You can even hold it for 1 or 2 or 3 seconds. And then breathe out like you're breathing out through a straw to bring all your attention, focus, and energy to your lips. In an MRI machine, magnetic resonance imaging machine, you can actually see the blood flow away from the stress centers of the brain. All right. And what it does is it deactivates the sympathetic nervous system and activates what's called the parasympathetic nervous system. So the fight or flight circuit is the sympathetic. The calm to respond circuit is the parasympathetic. All right. Now, why do we want to know how to regulate those two circuits? Well, number one, because it's in your control. So unlocking your brain's fullest powers, learning how to use it better, right? So you're not a tree, you can change, you can learn all of this. And Ali, yes, this is polyvagal breathing, very, very simple. So when we start to control our breathing, be aware and control our breathing directly, we have other circuits in our prefrontal cortex. We have the calm to respond, what I call is the Einstein brain, and we have the fight or flight, what if negative, right prefrontal cortex called the Frankenstein's brain. Now, when we're in a state of stress, uncertainty, doubt, fear, etc., our thinking brain goes offline, and then we're just reacting. So why would you want to react if you haven't been trained how to react properly in those situations? We always react at the highest level of our training. Let me give you an example. Why do you think Navy SEALs, by the way, the ocean's right there, it's a little cloudy right now, but why do you think that Navy SEALs learn how to regulate their breath? Why do you think Navy SEALs regulate their self-talk? Why do you think Navy SEALs regulate the response versus reaction? Why? Because it's higher cortical functions of your brain. Does this make sense to you? So Take 6 Calm the Circuits is the first innercise I teach in my best-selling book, Innercise, but also in my innercise programs. And, some of you are in our programs right now, but we teach, how to train your brain so that you are much more powerful. So when we're talking about unlocking our fullest power and potential, the first thing we need to do is unlock some of the basics, right? Well, we learn how to walk, basic. We learn how to talk, basic. We learn math, basic. We learn how to brush our teeth, basic. We learn how to eat by ourselves, basic stuff. Most people have never learned the basics of how their brain works. Hey, this is John, and if you liked that video, watch the next video because it is packed with things that you can do right now to achieve success way faster than ever before.